Right, can everybody see?
Yes.
Right, so these are just a few suggestions. So there are a few software options available that have similar similar uses and similar tools, but they are slightly different. And after this initial part, I know that during Caroline's writing session on day one, Jibu had a suggestion or two of what he uses, and I think we could maybe ask a few other colleagues as well to share what their experiences have been with tools and software that they have used. So I'm going to go through each one individually. The most well-known one, obviously, is Grammarly. And what I've done here is try to highlight just what each is best for, the pricing and the pros and cons of each. So Grammarly is best for those who need accurate and comprehensive grammar checker. It is the most comprehensive spelling and grammar checker that there is. It has some features that are not available that are available on others, but we'll see that as we go along. So it has a free plan that checks your grammatical and spelling errors and makes vocabulary suggestions. Obviously, any free plan will be limited as opposed to premium versions, which you pay for. The premium version of Grammarly starts at $12 per month, and that includes advanced features such as plagiarism detection and writing style detection. Some of these, which are also, like we mentioned on day one, are available on Turnitin as well, but probably not as comprehensive as these. The pros of Grammarly is that it's very accurate, probably the most accurate. The free plan is quite comprehensive and it works on all platforms. So whichever device or whichever browser you may be using, it will work on all of them. And the few cons that it has is that it is only in English. It doesn't support any other languages, and you cannot use it when you are offline. So you need to be online and using data the whole time while using it, which if data is an issue, it can be a problem. Right, then secondly, I don't know if anybody has come across Ginger before. So that's an AI-based writing assistant, which while you're typing, it gives you suggestions of grammar and spelling improvements. It gives you suggestions to rephrase your sentence structure. It gives you a dictionary and quite a bit more. One of the biggest pros of this is that it is available in over 40 languages. The free plan does not offer all of those languages, but the premium plan, which is quite reasonable at $4.99 per month, that offers over 40 languages, which is quite useful. The pros of Ginger, it works on multiple browsers. Like we said before, it supports many languages. And a personal trainer, which is a feature that pops up while you're using it, that gives you the real-time suggestions that you can also interact with via typing in a chat bar. The cons of this is that it doesn't include a plagiarism detector, but obviously if you were to use this, once you submit chapters to Turnitin, the plagiarism detection can be done there. And then it's lacking in reporting tools, so it cannot give you an overview of a whole piece of writing. It is done in real time with the sentence that you are busy typing or where your cursor currently is. And so it doesn't give you an overview of your whole piece of writing, however long it may be. Then next is called Hemingway for obvious reasons. And this is slightly different, where it's not focused on grammar and spelling, but it's focused on writing clarity. So improved readability, simplifying of complex language, and it's basically just make it clarifying and simpler, whatever writing it may be. There is an option to have a free online editor, which you can use online in a browser, obviously using data while you're busy with it. And then you get a desktop app, which you can download for $19.99, and that is per year, not per month. All of the other software options are available per month, whereas this one is $19.99 per year. The pros, it gives writing readability for non-first language speakers. Again, the focus is on writing clarity, on simplification of complex language and readability. And like I mentioned before, the features are quite limited. It's focused only on readability and simplification of language. It does offer a spelling and grammar check, but that is not comprehensive at all. Even the spelling and grammar check on Turnitin is probably more accurate than on Hemingway. Then Quillbot, I know some of you use Quillbot. Right, so this is best for those who need paraphrasing help or rewriting help of your text. So as it says here, it can improve your writing by helping you choose better words, to rephrase your awkward sentences, and to avoid plagiarism. Right, so that is Quillbot. In that way, is quite similar to the second option that we looked at. Again, it offers a free plan that is limited to 125 paraphrases per month and 1,200 summaries per month. And then the premium plan, which is quite pricey at almost $20 per month, all of those features are unlimited, the paraphrases and the summaries. The pros of this is that it is focused on paraphrasing and rewriting text. The plagiarism checker is only available on the premium plan, and the grammar checker is not very comprehensive either, as for the previous option of Hemingway. But yeah, I had another one, but it seems to have disappeared. Apologies for that. Let me try and find that last page quickly. Give me a second. Okay, so the last one is a software called Writer, but I actually chose to exclude that from the presentation as it's based more for team writing, which is not relevant for PhD writing. So I'd like to now, if I can, invite Jibu first to mention and perhaps elaborate a little bit on what he spoke about during Caroline's session and his experiences, and then invite anybody else who has used any of these or has any other options before we move on. Jibu, will you be able to share a bit on the option that you were speaking about during Caroline's session?
Yeah, if you want, I will share something about the Pro Writing Aid.
Yes, please. That will be fantastic.
So if you can allow me to share screen.
Yep, you can share.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
So this is a Pro Writing Aid. See, when we use this Microsoft Word, so just click on Start Real Time. So it will show you the sidebar, all the grammar mistakes and all. And see, grammar style is there, thesaurus, and especially all repeated words. It will show very clearly. And I think we need to pay for this around for I think 45 or 50. I'm not remembering exactly dollar for an year. And then the structure, sentence, and readability. It will show consistency and all these things. And of course, plagiarism is there. Normally, I check plagiarism online first, and there are many applications are free, so we can check in the online, and then only in the final paper I will come to the Pro Writing Aid, because there is a limitation. So maybe if you check always, it may stop very fast. So find only the final paper at the time of submission. I will check plagiarism with the Pro Writing Aid. This is what I want to tell you. And of course, I'm using Quillbot for pricing and all. Of course, this also is very helpful, Quillbot. And if you want to just to fair price something, just select and then in the downside. So just paraphrase, it will give you paraphrasing word. And of course, before you write it, and again you have to check whether it gives you the right meaning, or what do you mean to add in this paper. So I'm using this also. Okay, any question, anything do you want to ask? This is very, very useful, very helpful pro writing aid. I checked this one from our UP website. So they put this one in their website for students use, pro writing aid. I think this is similar to Grammarly.
Okay,
It's
that's
very similar.
it is quite similar. Thank you. And you mentioned the price again. What was the pricing on this?
Price, I mean, I'm not remembering exactly. I mean, $45 for an year.
For a year. Okay.
Yeah.
And you found it very helpful.
This is very helpful than Grammarly. Of course, Grammarly I used in the beginning, but I felt this one is much helpful because I mean, see, the repeated words also will show you.
Okay.
If you select this one passage and go to repeated words, so it will show you the repeated words. Okay, it will show you here.
Okay.
So there is no repeated words here. That's why. So it's very easy for us to change the words if you are repeating the words. Often we don't know how many repeated words that we are used in our writing. So if you check through this, very easily it will show you. And readability, consistency. Okay, just see, it will show you like this. So there are many things here. But the only thing, plagiarism, use only before you submit your paper, because it has a limitation of using plagiarism, maybe 50 times. So if you use every now and then, it may come down of checking plagiarism. So it is better to use other plagiarism tools in online. There are free checkup. I mean, of course, still there is a limitation of words, but still that is very helpful. Only in the final stage, come to pro writing aid, then it will give you the clarity. And if anything to change, you can do that.
Okay. That's very helpful. And when you say you found it easier to use or more helpful than Grammarly, were you using the free version of Grammarly or the premium version?
Yeah, I was using a free version. The problem is in the Grammarly, so that the whole paper we need to upload, and then finally they will give us the report. But here, every paragraph you can check.
Okay.
Just select and then go for checking.
Okay, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Fred, your hand is raised. Have you got a question?
Yes. So thank you for the presentations, both you, Andre, and Jibo. Let me start from Grammarly. I started with Grammarly as well. And like you said, Andre, you cannot use it offline. It was too expensive for me, because if you want to enjoy Grammarly, you better subscribe for the premium.
Yes.
Level. So and it's about, I think it's almost $200 per annum, if I'm not mistaken, the last time I subscribed. So, but somebody referred me to Keyboard, and I find it very good in terms of paraphrasing. But one of the things I'm discovering from the seminar is also the fact that Turnitin can discover, some of these paraphrasing, which it was an eye opener for me, and the need for me also, after trying, all these checkers. to give it to a human editor as well. I took that. But my question is that, number one, to Jibu, how do you, it seems as if you have 3 checkers on your laptop.
Yes, I do in the online. I mean, so you just type plagiarism checker. So you will get a lot of free versions. So there you can check. But it's not long passages, but still there is a limitation. Maybe maybe around 1,000 words at a time you can check for free checkup. So time to time I will do that, and only in the final stage I will come to ProWriting. And the thing is, ProWriting aid is much cheaper than Grammarly. So I paid is only $45 for an year. And this is very useful. So not only that, in the UP, so UP website, so they have given this one. And I think they are using ProWriting aid in the UP.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. And then the problem with the QBot. But what I face is that even after paraphrasing, of course you have a lot of options are there even after paraphrasing. And when you put here, and if you check in the ProWriting aid, still they will show you some more changes needed.
Oh, really? Okay.
The problem that I face is that we cannot fully trust QBot. Of course, it's very useful, but we cannot trust fully. So it is better to use. And according for me, it is. ProWriting is very helpful.
Cool. So you use is it Start Real Time that you call that the first one? Is it Start Real Time, or what's the name?
Which one? This one, ProWriting aid.
No, I know ProWriting. You have ProWriting, you have QBot, and then what's the third one?
Third one means. What do you mean, third one?
No, you showed 3 checkers now. The first one was you showed ProWriting, you showed QBot. Which is the first one? Is it real time or what? Which one is this?
I think, Fred, you may be referring your question to Andre. I'm not sure.
No, I'm referring it to Jibu.
So no, I've shown all these 2, right? Okay,
it's 2. ProWriting and QBot. Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Of course, I used Grammarly in the early beginning. That is without paid, not paid version.
Okay.
But the problem there, what I face is, of course, one thing is, it's more expensive, and secondly, see the whole portion we need to upload, and then they will give you, the report of that page. But here, just select one paragraph, and you can do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You've answered my question.
Yeah. And,
okay, you've answered my question.
See, these all things are here. Okay, all programs. Okay. So
ProWriting.
ProWriting. So it's very useful. Readability. See, pronouns alteration and the transition, sentence structure.
Okay.
All repeated words. See, this will show you all repeated words.
Okay. All right. Okay. Last question or last comment is that presently I'm using QBot, and I quite agree with what you said, because it has many options. Fluency, if you want to shorten your sentences and so on and so forth. And it is also true that by the time you take it to Grammarly will correct some of the things that QBot already done. I also discovered that. So, but thank you for this. And then I think I would try the ProWriting aid as well, because I can see that it works fine and correct some things on QBot, So thank you so much.
Right. Sam Tamusami, do you want to come in with your questions for Jibu?
Yes, Andre, but I've put it on the chat as well. I just wanted to know from Jibu, does ProWriting 8 check for passive voice and give
Yes,
the
yes.
and then
It, yeah,
is there an
it will
is
give
there
us
an
a direction. Yeah, it will give us a direction to change from passive to active.
okay, and is there an
Not
academic setting?
Yeah, academic is there, fluent is there, standard is there, or whatever versions you want.
Okay.
You want me to show you again, or
No. I'm just comparing it between Grammarly, because the premium Grammarly does all this. So I'm
Yeah.
just checking. And the
Yeah,
other one
this-
is, does it also show you the need for transitional phrases to be used?
yes.
Okay.
Dr. Chris, would you like to come in? Your hand is raised.
Thanks, Andre, and thanks for the. I'm learning a lot here about all these checking programs, and I hope that in using them and the advice they give and the changes they make to your text, actually you learn from them about how better to express what you want to say, so that at the end of your doctorate, you don't need them, because you have trained yourself in good, clear academic writing and be in a position to review the writing of those whom you will in turn advise and supervise. Otherwise, we will be having a generation of functionally illiterate scholars that you're not able to review and write and check your own writing. So I hope that you will learn from. I'm glad that Sam seems to be appreciating that comment. Learn from the advice that these tools are giving you, and they're obviously very helpful. But not, that you actually progress through them, that you internalize their own, the checks and the clarity that they help you with, so that at the end of the process you don't need them. Sam wants to comment, Andre, I think.
Dr. Chris, Grammarly tells you that, well done, you must have been practicing.
Good.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, even in pro writing also they will say that you are improving now.
Okay. All right.
Jibu, you mentioned that pro writing aid was that you got from UP.
Yeah,
Can you quickly give us? Obviously, I'm not a student there, so I don't have access to it. Can you
let me open that one
of how to get that from?
Yeah, just a minute.
And if I can come in and
Yes.
use this time.
Absolutely.
The Quillbot premium version also has grammar check, fluency check, and it also has shorten, which was very, very helpful, because sometimes we write a big sentence and you want to shorten it. Then Quillbot also, that premium version, has that. And plus it has also the grammar checks and the fluency check, which I think is very, very good.
Okay, thank you, Sam. You say you're using Grammarly or using Quillbot or both?
I'm using Grammarly. I'm also using Quillbot, and another one called WordTune.
Okay, I think.
But that's not for checking. But that's I like the Grammarly, particularly if you set it for the academic writing, because it really then gets the writing to be very good.
Yeah, indeed. So the general consensus seems to be that people use more than one of these tools together, because each program has its own respective strengths and weaknesses, and people say that if you use more than one of them in conjunction with another, then you cover as many bases as possible.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Chris?
Yeah, well, I will expect with all these tools people are using to be looking at absolutely word perfect submissions with nothing that needs correcting or no typos and no 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 poor expressions. I'll be expecting to see absolutely word perfect submissions.
I see a question from Aduboy. Is it free? So most of them, if not all, have free options, but those come with limited features. If you want access to all the features, then there is a monthly or a yearly cost involved. And they vary between $5 a month and $20 a month, more or less. Callisto, how do you handle the fact that Turnitin can detect artificially assisted writing and one might be penalized for this? Well, I think Caroline mentioned in the first session on day one is to not use it if you want to be safe as opposed to sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a dangerous ground if one is using artificially assisted writing, because like we mentioned on day one, that as the student submitting a paper to Turnitin, you don't see an AI report. You only see the plagiarism report. So only the instructor will be able to see if any part of your writing has been AI assisted. So I can't really answer the question, how do we handle the fact? I think it would be easier to just stay clear of it, because one never knows. And like any software, whether it's Grammarly, Turnitin, whatever it may be, none of it is foolproof or 100% accurate. There'll always be margin for error. And then if you have to try and prove that something which Turnitin picked up as AI assisted, if you have to try and prove that it's not, that could cause quite a few headaches. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything to that.
Well, I have my hand up.
Yes, Solomon.
Yes. Well, first is to say it's nice that your face is a constant in this residency. It's good to get familiar with Andre's face. We're very familiar with your name, but even though I met you in Stellenbosch, so well, I know how you look like. But I think it's good that your face is a constant these days. Yeah. I think one of the things Caroline said, I agree with her. You want to be safe, you stay clear of those. But another addition is a question. How other institutions take these aids, whether they consider them, whether they have some they have approved. Can schools say they approve Grammarly, they approve Quillboard, or any of those aids? Maybe if schools have some that they approve and they can even give their students to use, that is one thing. Otherwise, if it will be picked as plagiarism or any of those, how can that be reconciled?
So Grammarly itself doesn't fall in the category of AI. So that is more of a grammar and speller checker that can revise your work somewhat, but it is not considered, it doesn't fall into the category of AI right now at the moment. I don't know how things may develop. I'm just reading a comment here from Sam. Yes, Jibu. I'm reading a comment here from Sam, who actually seems to change the order a bit. For my writing, I use these tools to create my first draft, and then I begin to write the chapter and rewrite it. So what Sam does, he seems to, do you want to elaborate a bit on that, Sam? It seems like you're changing the order of how you would normally do it. That's quite interesting.
What I do is to write and then, change the sentences, change the active voice, passive voice, and all of that, and then use Quillbot when I'm not getting the right meaning. That becomes a kind of a thing that I work on. After that, I sit and write again with transitional phrases, with academic phrases, with my own voice, and then it becomes my own, and it's more human sounding rather than an artificially generated a piece of work.
Okay, that's probably quite an effective answer to Callisto's question, how to handle that, and can detect that if you are using AI or any of these tools. That's probably a good answer to the question. You can use it to assist you to write it, but then if you had to rewrite it after that, that would probably take a lot of the risk factor out of it. Yes, Sam.
If I may add, Andre, the modifiers that Carolyn was talking about, the AI tool can pick it up very easily, and a paraphraser can actually correct that. But then that is just the way it is, but I have to make it my own. So I make it my own and see that if my voice is there and this is what I want to say. So I constantly ask that question. Now I've got the grammar correct, I've got the structure correct, but is that my own? Does that have my voice? And is that what I'm saying?
Trying to say,
So,
yeah.
So if that is there, then I think these are very good tools to use.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, Jibu.
Yeah, all these tools, can, it can just help us to move on our way. Thinking our own point of view. Otherwise, don't fully trust all these apps. This is just to help you in your writing.
Yeah.
Indeed. Jibu, have you got those steps ready for us yet of where to find?
Oh, okay.
Well,
And I was just a minute. Okay.
Does anybody else want to, somebody who hasn't spoken, somebody who wants to share what their experiences of any of these are or others?
Yeah, I'm not remembering exactly from where. Somewhere this one.
Writing support on the far left, writing support. Yeah.
Not in that. Writing aid. Yeah.
Writing aid, is that the one? Install?
Writing aid. Maybe writing guide. That one is Phrasebank.
Yeah, it was under writing support. It was just a bit.
Yeah, somewhere there it is there. Okay, I know.
If you go to writing support again, Jibu.
Writing.
The fourth one.
Writing guide. Yeah.
Writing aid install.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, writing aid install.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, available. This also is there.
Hemisphere too. Hemingway. Yeah. And Grammarly. Yeah, those are the three.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so those three are available.
And I think it's just they are just giving the link to the website, so you could just go to prowritingaid.com.
Yeah.
But we need to pay.
Yeah. I saw that for India. I think it's 500 rupees a month, I think.
Maybe. Okay. But mainly from India, we need to use a credit card to pay for this.
Oh yeah, okay.
Thank you, Jibu. Is there anybody else who has used any other tool that we haven't mentioned yet and would like to share their experience with it? Nobody. Okay, in that case, then I'll quickly go through just one paragraph on the free version of Grammarly, just to give those. I know most of you have used either Grammarly or tools similar to that. But for those that haven't, I'll just quickly shoot through that. Right, so very quickly, it obviously, if you copy and paste whatever text you have, this is in the free version. If you hover over it, it gives you an option of changing. You can either accept or dismiss it. So in the midst of, and it gives you yet a mid largely. If you would want to accept that, you click on accept. And if you say dismiss, then it'll obviously dismiss it. I'm going to do that. I'm going to choose dismiss just for the sake of, then that underlining will disappear. If we move further on, the faith, if we accept that, it'll change it automatically. And then that was obviously the free version. Right. So you get, you've all used it before. But are there any other questions on any of this? Dr. Chris, I don't have much more. If you want to go on with some of the common things that you have found problematic.
Well, to ask you just one or two questions. Is it English that Grammarly corrects to, or is it United States English? Because there are certain spelling differences in between the two.
That is a
You
good,
could set it. You could set it for UK English, Dr. Chris.
You can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think be careful that you do, because words like centre in English is RE, ends in RE. In American English, it ends in ER. And you need, I think South Africa would expect English by that. Of course, I think was it Noel Coward's comment that they haven't spoken English in the United States for decades. That do set it for English because there are differences in spelling in certain words. I think I just want to repeat what I'd said before, that it's a matter of writing and rewriting. It's a matter of reading through what you've written and seeing, oh my goodness, I left a word out there, or there's a typo there that needs correcting. And that for all of us, that requires 24 hours space to come back to it, because we get our thoughts on paper. We're busy marshalling everything, looking at references, putting footnotes, getting everything in order, looking at the logic, making sure we have included everything we want to say, and inevitably, even as we type on the keys, mistakes will come. So after 24 hours, go back to it and read it through again to see for those things. And then, if you can, ask your wife or ask a good friend to read through it again. Can they understand clearly what you're saying? Because what you want to do, first of all, with your supervisors and then eventually with your examiners, is write so that not that they may understand, but they must understand. In other words, you so write that there's no unclarity or vagueness about what you're saying. You're very precise in your use of words and in your argument. We talked yesterday, I'm sorry, Jibu Nainan rather set himself up on this because we refer back to examples. I suppose when we get to Key Singh and others, we'll refer back to them. But generalizations, be very, very careful. If you are going to make a generalization, make very sure you've got sufficient evidence to be able to make it. Avoid them if you can. These sort of things, so that when your supervisor and then your examiners read your work, it's not only the argument, it's not only the content, but it's the presentation. It's the way the way you express it will make a great deal of difference in the way that they accept and engage with it. It really does. Please don't think that, as long as the general meaning is there, they'll understand. No. You write not so they may understand, but so they must very clearly what you are saying. I think that's what I'd add. And as I said, these tools all very helpful, and thank you for the input on how you use them. But the end of the process is that you shouldn't need them. You should be able yourself to write material clearly and quickly and understandably. I think that's all I really need to add, unless others want to comment or engage. Others who have written. Stephen Ulf, you've written many an article. Have you got any input, comments to make?
Well, I mean, I was fascinated by the demonstrations of these technologies, and I'm sort of agreeing with you about whether one sort of abdicates oneself to the use of this mechanized system, or one takes on the learning process which they can provide. I mean, obviously, in terms of what the dangers, there are pretty obvious dangers, but I mean, they would be easily to spot. For instance, in terms of the spell checking, how much can we assume that, how much can we expect a machine to understand the field that you're working in? I mean, even to take a trivial example, I remember when I was working in writing reports, weekly reports on terrorism around the world, on the Islamist sort of arena. It was very irritating to find that whenever you were, say, in a place like Afghanistan, you'd have to keep on respelling the correction that they made to the city of Herat, because it would respell it as Heart. Things like this were going, and sometimes these were feeding through right almost to production stage, and even the editors didn't spot it. You see what I mean? So this is the sort of thing which I noticed, but that's, I agree that at that level it was really on this more trivial level of spell checking, which would happen. But I have not used one of the Grammarly type systems, and I'd be fascinated to give it a try. But again, it's this issue as to whether there is enough stored information about the nature of the subject. I mean, for instance, I'd like to know whether how easy it is to develop in your usage of these programs your own dictionary, because the only way I've found of doing it so far, using just something simple like Word, is to make life a little easier for myself by having the diacritics included in an automatic replacement system, whereby if I want to write a word like al-wala, but it has all sorts of diacritics and accents over this. It's very laborious to do it each time, and I'm in a very simplistic method, I managed to ensure that these things were automatically replaced. But how would one? I don't know whether these sort of things are more geared towards the major Western languages for doing that, or whether they can actually be adapted for other languages too. I'm not sure how far they are. I know that you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I mean, it might be interesting to know just how far foreign scripts, foreign language elements can be incorporated in this.
I think that's a question to you, Andre.
Sorry, Stephen, can you please repeat that? There were some people coming back into the main.
What it was this issue you mentioned, Andre, about the fact that these are not just about the major European languages, the Western languages, where maybe a lot of this development is taking place, but it will also they also apply to other languages now and other scripts as well. I assume that's the case.
Yeah, there's only one that I'm aware of that is available in multiple languages. I don't know if any of the others are. So the one that I mentioned earlier, called Ginger, that has that has applications for over 40 languages. That's the only one I'm aware of. I don't know of any others, if there are.
I mean, I'd say, the fascinating approach here is that the sophistication that you've demonstrated on these programs is that it's not only about basic spelling or basic phrases, but also new suggestions about how to structure a sentence. It's very impressive that the way it can do that. I just sort of wonder as to whether this can be done with respect to checking resources in foreign languages and foreign scripts. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. If you start having foreign language scripts that you can use and have software where you can sort of translate, transliterate, and do everything all at once, that would change the whole game.
The only thing there, you see, is the problem about how much can you expect a program to be. I mean, even if you took a subject like, I don't know, in English, like horticulture, I mean, it may be the program has got enough familiarity in its terms of, in its vocabulary, in its lexicon to handle that. But my experience of much more primitive things is simply that basically you end up just having to create your own lexicon quite slowly. I'm not sure. I've never actually found any benefit from any program that way. Admittedly, I've not tried anything as sophisticated as Grammarly or Ginger, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned here, but it turns out that if you're outside the developmental arena of these people who work on these, you're really going to end up working almost as hard anyway using them as not using them.
Yeah, that's true. But these tools are obviously all dynamic. They are probably daily changing. People are working on them constantly to keep them updated, to keep them current of any trends that are developing in the writing fields. So I think for both, like you say, for the people using them and the people working on them, I think it's quite labor intensive both ways.
I mean, by the way, when the learning process is occurring, is this only possible to occur if these systems work online? Because then I could understand, my primitive brain, that it'll be learning from several people around the world at any time, adding vocabulary, adding ideas and technical phraseology. But if it's something which is downloaded and just operating on yours, then the level of learning process will only be according to what you're doing. You know, you wouldn't get that sort of acceleration from there being a whole arena of scholars, spectrum of them working in the field and increasing the vocabulary that way. So would you then find yourself recommending programs that are online based rather than ones that are sort of purchased and downloaded?
Yeah, I think that any online based ones would obviously be a lot more dynamic and updated more regularly, but ones that can be downloaded and can be used offline, I would imagine that they would be updated via updates that you then install every now and then, but it obviously won't be live updates that are being updated as it happens.
Okay, thank you. That's very interesting.
One thing I think, I don't know whether these programs help with or we should be aware of, is, and what I've noticed, is when people include quotes, maybe 2 or 3 lines quotes from other authors, and it's very clear that in that quote there is a problem. And I've recently been checking someone's work and said you must really go back to the original quote, because that doesn't sound right. Either in its expression, there's a problem with the expression, or its punctuation or capitalization. You must go back and check in that quote that it is as you have reproduced it, or whether there's been a problem in your reproducing it. Now, I imagine that these programs have some trip factor so that they don't start correcting quotes, because then that will become very problematic.
Yeah, I think, as far as I know, I think that most of these tools, if you had to import a quote directly, if it was grammatically incorrect, I think it probably would flag it. Even if it's verbatim as it was in the quote, I think that it would probably flag it.
Well, you shouldn't correct it, because you are quoting. If you are sure that you have got the quote correct, then you should quote it as in the original source.
Correct.
That's very important.
So then you would just
You can't start.
Yeah, so then you would choose to ignore or dismiss the suggestion of the correction. Yeah.
But I think whether or not you're using these programs to check, I think do make sure that you check the original quotes and that you transcribe them absolutely correctly, even with mistakes, because you are referring to an already published piece of work, and you are quoting from that. You can't change it.
Correct.
Okay. Right. Has anybody else got some comments to make? Thank you, Stephen, for your observations. Anybody else got some contribution to make? Who, as you've seen it used, is there somebody coming in? Who's coming in?
Yeah, it's me, Fred.
Oh, Fred, hello.
Yeah, I mean, this just an extension to this topic. How about transcribing your the question from your respondents, maybe the questionnaires, after interviewing your respondents, and then maybe you want to transcribe, because I'm about to get to that level. I've just finished with all my respondents and questions, so I'm trying to collect them. And then when I put the question to my supervisor yesterday, she said that I have to, look around within the campus for those who could do that. But I want to ask if there is any software for that as well, whether it involves payments. So, but I intend to check the library website, just like what we did with the pro writing, but I've not done that. So I'm just using this opportunity to ask the question. Andre, I don't know whether you.
Thank you, Fred. I don't know much about transcribing software, but what I do know and can help you with is that Dr. Ruth Samuel has done a short talk on it before, and she would probably be a very good person to approach to get an answer on that. She has quite a few options and can very quickly tell you why that one is better, or why that one is better, why that one's not better. So if you would like to approach Dr. Ruth, or I can also on your behalf, that I think that will be the best option. I can't give you advice on transcribing software, I'm afraid.
I know. Somebody typed the Otai, and I've tried it, but it's also depend on whether you subscribe for the premium or whatever. There are some that are very, very expensive. Some are quite up to like $400, $500, to really, and one cannot afford that. So that's why I'm asking. Thank you.
You have to be aware these are money-making exercises.
Yes.
There's a market here.
Exactly.
Money-making exercises.
See, Fred.
Sorry
Yes.
to disturb. Kissing speaking.
Yes.
Yeah, I try many ways to transcribe actually, but finally I use Word online, Microsoft Office Words online. I pay about £4 per month, and it's very user friendly. And I just subscribe for 1 month or 2 months. That's it, because only interview that I like to transcribe. So perhaps you just pay for 1 month then you get your work done. It's very user friendly, Fred. And
You mean which Microsoft Word?
yes, Microsoft Word online must be online. You have to sign in to your account and then transcribe from there.
Thank you, Keesing. I see Dennis has also given a suggestion, Fred. Otter Online, that's in the chat. And then I think Stephen also had his hand raised on this point. I don't know, Stephen, if you want to come in.
Actually, it was a point raised by Chris. It's a slightly sort of amusing point, was the issue of quoting. When you're having somebody else is quoting something, you're quoting from their words. And it's always this slightly uneasy feeling as to whether one should put the word, if they make a grammatical error, whether one should put the word seek in, because there's always this issue that whether that looks precious or patronizing, or whether it's helpful for the reader. That there's always an uneasy feeling, but it's nothing, of course, that a program can solve. It's more an issue of just how, just almost like how you're feeling on the day. That's a problem with that one.
I think you're correct, Stephen, that if there is something that looks odd or out of place, then you put in square brackets SIC, which means thus. And it means that that's actually as it was in the original, and you are repeating the original and indicating that you've noticed that, that this might be incorrect, but you have correctly transcribed it. So thank you for identifying that. That's the way to do it. You put in, I don't think anybody thinks it's patronizing or you're demonstrating any superiority on your part. You're actually protecting yourself by saying, look, I've transcribed this properly, or I'm reporting this quote properly. And yes, there is a mistake in it, but that mistake is in the original.
Correct. Well, we have a few minutes. Does anybody have any other ideas or suggestions for the question that Fred raised about transcribing software? No, Keesing mentioned Microsoft Word Online.
Yeah, yes, Andre.
Yes, Adeboy.
Thank you, Dr. Chris. I just want to ask Fred if he's actually asking for software for transcribing or software for data analysis.
I think the answer should be yes, because by extension, you may have to analyze after transcribing, finding out your themes and everything. Yes, I think so. By extension.
I would have thought that if I know many of you, funding and supporting your studies financially is a challenge. I just sense that if push comes to shove, transcribing software is going to be much more useful to you and save you a lot of time
yes.
compared with Grammarly checking software or one of these sophisticated ones, because transcribing takes an awful long time. Whereas if you can have a program that will, you just play the recording, and as the transcribing happens, then that's to your advantage, because it's saving you a lot of time.
Yes, thank you. You're right.
And Dr. Chris, I don't have anything else.
Well, I think why don't we thank Andre and Jibu and others who've contributed for a very valuable session, and take the advantage of an 8-minute break to maybe there are things you need just to attend to before we have a session with Dr. Patrick on engaging with university culture. So feel free to take a break. We'll be back in the main session in 8 minutes, but please come back, and Dr. Patrick will be leading us in engaging with university culture. Thank you, everybody.